As the Missouri Valley preview rolls on, we've got the head coach for the Belmont Bruins, Bart Brooks. That's a lot of B's in a row. The good alliteration there, coach.
I like it. It's for early in the alphabet. I like it.
Can you believe this is your 8th season and that you have been in Nashville that long? To me, it seems hard. I just remember when you were sitting on the bench at DePaul, getting great insight and adding to the value of what DePaul was doing under Doug Bruno, one of your mentors. How's it been so far for you and your family?
Yeah, I mean, 8 years. It's hard to say that. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like I don't know what I'm doing still. I'm just trying to figure things out. But it has been, when you look back at it, I probably couldn't have written a better script for how it's gone at Belmont. I love the place. I love the people. I think the stuff that made me fall in love with this job when I was interviewing has proven to be probably more true the more I've lived it. So that's a really positive thing. And obviously the family and having two little boys grow up here has been a real blessing for us.
I watch you and your family, your young family grow, and I watch your basketball program grow. It's just incremental steps every year. You're coming off 26 wins, playing in the WBIT last year. There'll be some expectations around this incredibly difficult non-conference schedule that you've put together. Why now put this schedule together with this group?
I have no idea what I was thinking. I have no idea where this came from. Some of it was just we needed a game, and those are the teams that could play. And honestly, like we had a scrimmage with Duke, and we both needed a game. We said, "Well, should we just play?" And so now we're playing. So, but more than anything, I think with this schedule, for our program and our team to always take the next step, we've got to put ourselves in position to play against at-large tournament teams. And the more of those you play against, the more chances you have to beat them. And I think that's us. So we've got to win some of these games.
Well, here's what I have written down. 3 of the last 4 years, you got wins over the SEC. You've got 4 wins over the Big Ten in that time frame. You've got 5 wins over the ACC. And you've stacked up teams in all those leagues, including the Big 12, to once again take on this challenging schedule. How are you going to navigate and use this to prepare you for the Valley?
Yeah, I think probably I've learned a lot in these first 2 years in the Valley, just really understanding what the grind of that season is. And I feel like probably the first couple of years, we've allowed our non-conference schedule to linger and beat us up a little bit because you don't get. It's not like you get a break when you play in the Valley. It's really hard, and that grind. It's helped me as a coach plan better. And so I think we have a better plan going into this season, how we're going to utilize off days, how we're going to not get too high or too low with the results early. I think that's really important when you're playing a long season and a schedule that's as challenging as ours, that we could play great and lose by 20. That's how talented the teams are on our schedule. So I think just keeping the standard of how we want to play, focus on what we're doing to control our controllables, and then hopefully we get some results along the way. But yeah, the grind is real in the non-conference, and then in the Valley, we've got to be really good at the end of the year. So we've got to do everything we can as a staff to prepare our team to be good at the end of the year.
Well, you have created a formula around your culture that absolutely works. I've watched your team play in MTEs where you didn't win a game, but yet you're contending for the Missouri Valley title. So isn't that the purpose for putting together a challenging schedule like you put forth for your team again?
Yeah, no doubt. And I got to remind myself of that in the middle of those chaotic moments. And I don't sleep a lot in November and December. But at the end of the day, there's learning opportunities in front of us, and there's unbelievable opportunities for growth. And we're going to play against teams that they're going to stretch us beyond what we're getting stretched in practice, and that's going to happen early and often. And so I think for us, if we do what we're supposed to do and we put ourselves in position to play in the NCAA tournament, there's not going to be a team that we can match up against that we aren't prepared for. And that's my goal, and that's my plan.
Well, in your plan, morphs, changes, tweaks. It's not just one way or one system. I know how hard you work to put your players in the best position to succeed. And I look at your program, and one of the really strong cultural things about your program is you're only one of 10 schools that in the last 9 years have won 20 or more games. Think about that. at the D1 level. That's impressive considering the kind of non-conference schedule that you've put in front of your team. How do you make sure that you keep your focus where it needs to be and then you get that cliche of 1% better every day?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with the quality of the people you have in your program. I think names change, and year to year the roster looks different, but I think the quality of character, the kind of players we recruit, the kind of players who succeed here, they're driven by wanting to be really good every day, and it's not a trying to be the
Yeah.
biggest star and make the biggest splash. It's about showing up and working hard, and they love to be in the gym. And I think that's kind of the culture of our program, and that's led to, I think, consistent success because our players are consistent hard workers.
Well, one of those players that's been with you longer than anyone else is Tuti Jones. And I read where you said she could leave as the most decorated player in the history of Belmont basketball. What's it been like coaching her? What do you expect for her this season?
Well, Tootie is, in the era of constant change, she's been a constant stability for our program, and this is five years of having Tootie here, and in a preseason where we're expecting her to do a lot for us again. And the beauty of her game is it's evolved every year, and she's grown, and she's shouldered bigger responsibilities as she's aged through our program. And this year's no different. I think she's the best version of herself right now. I think she's the healthiest she's been in terms of just being able to be in everything that we've done for the last couple of months in our prep going into the season. So I'm really, really excited about her and what she's going to bring to the table in terms of leadership, but also because she's playing the best basketball she's ever played, and I think she's pretty good right now.
When you've got a kid like that that's been through the highs and lows of college basketball, comes off the injury, she's been one of the great defenders in college basketball. She's a great two-way player, and I know you wish all of them were two-way players, but you definitely have a few of them. Chessman's another player that's a really good two-way player. One of the ways that you have been able to win is control the pace and tempo, and you can play a variety of ways, Bart, with your group. What does Tootie like the best, and how do you make sure that your scheme follows your best players' attributes?
Yeah, I think that's a huge challenge every year, kind of with the constant changes of rosters, is to make sure that your style doesn't eliminate your ability to allow your best players to shine. And we always go into every year saying we're not going to be dependent on a pace of game to be good. That we can play fast if we need to, we can play slow if we need to. And I think one of the things that I love about Tootie is she can create chaos, whether it's in the full court in a pressing situation with that we're going to have some different looks we throw at you this year, but she's also really good at doing that in the half court. And she has a really good feel for when she can change a game with her playmaking on both sides of the ball. And I think for her being on the floor, I think there's a confidence that our team gets when she's on the floor that we're a Tootie play away from going on a run. And that's good for me. Good for
A
me as a
Tootie play. That's
yeah.
good. We should put that in hashtags and keep that in your social media all year. Tootie play. I'm going to be looking for that during the season myself. One of the things that I love about doing these interviews, Bart, because I've known you for so long, is I know how much family means. And one of the things that I'm always trying to do is always humanize alongside strategize. So we've talked about what your team needs to do. How do you keep the balance? Do you cook dinner? Do you drive your kids to school every day? Are they coming over to the gym after school? What are some of the things that you're doing to keep that balance in perspective?
You know what? All of that. I take my boys to school every morning. School's right by our house, so on my way to work, I take them to school, and we have great conversations. Some of them we could talk about with mom, but some, it's just boys talk. Uh, but it's so much fun spending time with those guys, and basically, if I have a free minute that I'm not watching basketball or coaching basketball, I'm home with my family and watching my two boys grow up and varied interests from Star Wars to basketball to anything else in between. And it's been really, really cool for me as a dad that our life, my value doesn't get defined by how we play. And that's been a good lesson for me when I walk in the door. And those guys don't care if we won or lost; they just
Yeah.
want to see their dad. So that makes me have a good perspective about what I'm doing.
And that's why you are consistently at the top not just in the Valley, but in our profession as one of the really good guys around the women's game that have helped so many inside the game become better. Bart Brooks, the head coach for Belmont, thank you so much for being with us. It is my pleasure, before we begin the season, to have this incredible opportunity to speak to one of the legends in the Missouri Valley, Tuti Jones, a graduate student for head coach Bart Brooks at Belmont. Tuti, it's so great to see you.
Thanks, you too.
I love your IQ. I love your work ethic. I love your demeanor on the floor. You're such a great teammate. Where does all of that come from?
Well, a lot of it comes from being at Belmont for 4 years now. I think I've definitely grown and learned a lot from the coaches here. But also it came from my mom. She coached for 27 years, and I also learned a lot from her just being around the sport, being around basketball. So I got to give her props as well.
Your mom was a player. Your mom was a winner. Your mom won as a player and as a coach. You are a winner. How hard is it to explain to people what it takes to be a winner in so many different aspects of life?
I think it's really hard. I think that's one of the reasons why my coaches have told me that I need to lead by example. Just like being more vocal and I guess just more consistent, like in practice and in games as well. So I feel like it's easier to lead by example and show them physically as opposed to telling them about it.
Your journey has not been easy, right? It's a change in leagues from the OVC to the Missouri Valley, sprinkle in a little injury in between that took a year away. But here you are as a graduate student, right? And you're getting a chance to do some things with an incredibly challenging schedule to put in front of your team. Bart has a lot of confidence in you. Why?
I think it's just a relationship that we've built over the last 4 years. Like I said, they've helped me a lot. Bart for sure has helped me a lot. Just a relationship, not only in basketball, but just on a personal level. It's easy to play for someone when you know they care about you, not just within the sport, but just as a person as well. And that's one thing Bart makes it a big deal to make sure that we understand that he cares about us as humans as well.
Well, if anybody ever watched you play, and I'm hoping that they're going to tune in when you're playing, because you're an incredible definition of a great two-way player. Most coaches wish every player was a two-way player, but you really epitomize someone who can change the tempo on both ends of the floor by the way you play, whether it's on the defensive end or the offensive end. Where does that drive come from?
Part of it, again, comes from my mom. She held the steals record when she played at Troy University, and I was like, I have to beat her. So part of it is just me being competitive and trying to be better than her. But I don't know. It's just something about stealing the ball or helping my team out in any way. It just kind of gets me going. So I just want to do whatever I can to help our team out.
So Coach Brooks and I are talking about hashtag Tuti play. And if we throw a hashtag Tuti play out there, what do you think that's going to look like?
Maybe a steal, maybe a layup or a pitch ahead assist, and of course a little bit of screaming at one point or another.
You've got 3 of the top 4 scorers returning on a team that went to the postseason last year. The Valley's a 20-game conference league. It is a tough league. More than half the teams in the league were above 500 in conference play. That's a lot of balance. What have you enjoyed the most about competing in the league?
It honestly was a lot different from competing in the OVC, which both leagues are great, but I think there was just a lot of competition every single game. There was never a game or a time where we could be lackadaisical in our prep and our gameplay or in practice or anything. So it's just fun playing against teams when you know they're going to come and give you 110% every game.
Your legacy will be rooted in the accolades and the awards that you've won, and it'll also be in the team success. What do you want your legacy to be when people think about your game and your time at Belmont?
Honestly, I just want to be a player that younger kids can look up to. Not just basketball, though, also in school. Like being a student athlete is obviously important, and I take my school very seriously. But I just want to be someone that everybody can look up to and talk about for years to come.
Those that don't like the transfer portal or don't like the NIL space or any of the things that we have going on in college basketball are going to love Tuti Jones, because in a landscape where it's easy to pick up and take off, you're going to finish with an undergrad and a master's degree from Belmont University. Congratulations, Tuti. I can't wait to watch you play this season.
Thank you.
Man, Belmont is loaded. They've got 3 of their top 4 scorers back from last season, and Kendal Chessman is one of their 3 and D players. She shoots the 3 and she plays some D. Kendall, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, Bart is something, man. He's got a system that everyone loves playing in. Why?
I feel like in Bart's system, you get to play freely, and we have a lot of versatile players, especially this year. And just like Tuti had attested to, Bart lets players bring out their strengths, and that's what we're focusing on this year is just utilizing our strengths and working on them now. And we're excited to see how it comes to fruition when the season starts.
Well, you made 83s last year. You also are the returning leading rebounder and shot blocker. Okay. So that's where the 3 and D comes from. That's a compliment. Most players don't have that combination of blocking shots and knocking down triples. What did you work on this summer to advance your game?
To advance my game, overall, it's really just doing like my mindset going into this year is just the dirty work and anything that Bart needs me to do. You know, rules change every year. And so obviously keeping that 3-pointer consecutive and getting that off quicker has been something I've really been working on, especially off the move. And then defensively, just getting on the glass and making those cleanup plays for the team.
Whenever a shooter like you talks about trying to get into the rhythm of their shot quicker or get their release off faster, what are the things that you're doing exactly technically to be able to be a quicker shooter or have a faster release?
Really just shooting as the ball's touching your hand, making sure that you're loaded before you catch it. A lot of the drills just working on over the summer is just running to half court and back, being on the move, and really not doing much stationary shooting because that's hard to translate into the game. So
The Missouri Valley overall is a league that I would call that plays with a lot of pace. There's a lot of threes. There's a lot of moving the ball, making the extra pass. Certainly Belmont plays like that. Drake plays like that. Murray State plays like that. Illinois State. I can keep going on, right? I mean, the league is loaded with Missouri State, UNI. I mean, there are so many good teams in this league. What have you enjoyed the most about competing?
this league is very competitive. And no matter who we play on any given night, like you said, the pace is pushed. And the MVC is not to be underestimated. I feel like we have size, we have speed, and our team is just trying to show what we have this year. And we definitely fit into that category. Really excited about our non-conference too, pushing us and helping us play against some of the best
Yeah.
athletes and some of the fastest pace out there. So
Yeah, you mentioned the non-conference. We talked to Coach Brooks about it. Man, it is loaded. I mean, it is from a mid-major standpoint, it is going to be one of the toughest schedules in the non-conference in the nation. So you're going to have a chance to have a lot of eyes on your style of play, your team. And if you can pull some upsets, woo, how does that get you ready? Like, what are you most excited about? Did you think about your schedule when you were in the middle of your summer workouts? I mean, how does that play in?
no, it's really inspirational for once our conference schedule gets going, but every team that we play is going to push us. We're going to get to play against a lot of really good defensive style teams. So we're going to figure out how we work well together with our new players getting up the court, whether it's pressing or our offense in the half court. And it's really just going to make us better overall and get ready to be ready to go as soon as our first conference game starts.
Bart Brooks has always had a culture of family and work ethic and togetherness and chemistry. It seems like watching your teams play, you're always connected. Where do you think that comes from, and why every year do you guys have consistently that look about you?
It comes from the standard that the players have set before us and the coaches for this program. We're a really together team, and we make sure that that's correct off the court, so it'll be great on the court, and that's a huge part of our program. So just consistently knowing you're going into a team that's that close, that chemistry shows on the court.
The summer workouts can be a dread, right? They're tough, weights, running, conditioning. Bart told us earlier this year, and something I read, that you guys spent more time scrimmaging and playing. What was different about this summer, and what did you like the most about it?
I like this summer because just like you had just said, we scrimmaged a ton. And for all of us, we've all agreed that's the best way to get to know, especially our new players, and who works well with who, and the way that we can just be free and kind of work on new things, because that's what the summer is for, is developing and growing your game. And then you get into the system in season and you produce it. So that scrimmage time, that was huge for us to be able to get to learn each other. And you can already see it helping us now in actual practice.
Kendal Chessman, we're pulling for you this year. You're a 3-and-D, you're a pick and pop, and you're somebody we're going to keep our eye on as Belmont moves forward this season. Best wishes and thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much.